Hey everybody, Adam Davidson, RadCast for Thursday, September 7th, 2023. Here's a weird story in Luke chapter 7. Listen to this. When Jesus had finished saying all this to the people who were listening, he entered Capernaum, however you want to say it. There a centurion's servant, whom his master valued highly, was sick and about to die. The centurion heard of Jesus and sent some elders of the Jews to him, asking him to come heal his servant. When they came to Jesus, they pleaded earnestly with him, "This man deserves to have you do this because he loves our nation and has built our synagogue." So Jesus went with them. He was not far from the house when the centurion sent friends to say to him, "Lord, don't trouble yourself, for I do not deserve to have you come under my roof. That is why I did not even consider myself worthy to come to you. But say the word, and my servant will be healed. For I myself am a man under authority, with soldiers under me. I tell this one, go, and he goes, and that one, come, and he comes. I say to my servant, do this, and he does it." When Jesus heard this, he was amazed at him, and turning to the crowd following him, he said, "I tell you, I have not found such great faith even in Israel." Then the men who had been sent returned to the house and found the servant well. And that's the word of the Lord from Luke chapter 7, verses 1 through 10. This is a bizarre story because basically it has all kinds of different aspects to it. Here's a brief RadCast list. It's a story about authority, empowerment, desperation, persuasion, entitlement, community, submission, humility, faith, surprise, and comparison. A couple of weird things about this story. First of all, that these guys go to Jesus and they say, this guy deserves to be healed. He really loves our city, and he did help build the synagogue. Was that motivating to Jesus? Or the fact that the centurion is like, hey, come to my house, and then as Jesus is getting close, the centurion is like, you know what? You don't even have to come to my house. Just say the word. And then Jesus is like, oh, all right, sounds great. And just is sort of amazed at the man's faith and says, all right, your guy is healed. And then he turns around and he says, I've never seen faith like this, even in all of Israel. And is he talking about like all of Israel, like the whole Old Testament? This Roman centurion, this leader of the military guard, has more faith than all of Israel? Is he making an example of the Israelites, of the people of God? Is he like, man, I wish my own people believed me like this guy does? Is it that this guy's context and authority, because he knows that people do what he says and that he does what his bosses say, does this guy have more confidence and authority than the typical Israelite believer? All these things. The fact that Jesus is surprised, that he makes this comparison, that the centurion is so faithful and yet so humble about it, that there's this sense of community, that all these people care about this guy so much. Like there's so much, here's that RadCast list, there's so much going on in this story that I don't even know how to, I feel like I'm barely scratching the surface, and I'm like, should I even talk about this in RadCast today? And it's like, sure, I'm supposed to just trot out whatever the Lord is stirring in me. This is what it says in Jeremiah 30:17, "For I will restore health to you, and your wounds I will heal, declares the Lord." So we know that God is a healer. We know that he restores health. We also know in the Gospels that Jesus is often moved by human expression, that when he sees the heart of his people and they're really crying out for him and they really believe that he can do it, this moves the heart of God. And it's not that he doesn't care otherwise. It's just that God is looking for us to believe, that God is looking for us to respond ultimately to his Spirit, because our healing, at least our physical healing, is temporary, just like this whole earth. What he really wants is to draw us close. So I've just been thinking about this morning and wondering, God, what is it in me where my faith is so small? And yeah, maybe it's mustard seed sized, or maybe it's even smaller. Are there places in my life where I just don't believe? Maybe because I don't respond to your authority like I should, or maybe I don't trust you because I don't trust other people, or is it maybe I'm not humble? Maybe I'm like, get in my house and fix this. There are all kinds of things stirring in my mind. Here's what I know. In Matthew 10:1, Jesus gets his disciples together. He gives them authority over unclean spirits. He says, you're going to go and cast those spirits out. You're going to heal every disease and every affliction. That has not stopped. That ministry of healing has not come to an end. So I look at it like, okay, do I resist asking Jesus to do stuff just because I don't believe he can do it? Or do I ignore the people around me who are in great need? And instead of taking the opportunity to pray with boldness and to pray with desperation and to pray with humility, do I just kind of ignore it? Which is actually a very prideful thing to do. I don't know. So this is where you come in, friends. This is where we need you to comment or say something or add to the conversation to help finish this, because this is one of those radcasts with a loose end to it. So what is it that the Lord brings to your mind in this weird healing story? No matter what, believe that God is with you today, that he is bringing the healing of the kingdom to this broken world, and that he wants to do that in you and through you. Go and do this. That's RadCast.